The movie is based on real events, begins in Florida in 2011, where leaves hapless Liza, a single mother and exotic dancer. She dreams of making more money because her ex-husband wants to take her daughter away. At work she encounters Pete Brenner, an imposing figure who, in between saving the world, sells pharmaceuticals at Zana Company. Pete admires Liza's assertiveness and her ability to make people like her, so he offers her a job. The conversation is interrupted by a call from school. Liza's daughter Phoebe was so hung up with her classmates that she started a fire near the campus. The school wants to expel girls, but the clever Liza negotiates a lenient sentence. Besides, technically the students didn't do anything wrong. The same evening after the scandal, Liza's sister kicks her out from the garage, where she lives past few months. Liza and her daughter move into a cheap motel, where she meets a new neighbor and the noises behind the wall at night, disturbing their sleep. When her car is confiscated, Liza decides to accept Pete's job offer. Meanwhile, Pete convinces investors that Zana's Lanofen medicine is the best pain medication on the market. It's just that competitors have more money for advertising. The company itself is on the verge of bankruptcy because of debts. Investors see the only way selling a patent to competitors. The conversation is interrupted by Liza's appearance. Liza didn't find an address on her business card, so she ran it herself. After reviewing a resume with unfinished education and a job as a salesman, Pete immediately changes it in computer, attributing her false achievements. After printing CV, they go to Dr. Jack Neal, the founder of the company and the inventor of the medicine. Liza immediately understands the rules of capitalist commerce, and lies through and through, not forgetting to flatter the fragile male ego. Dr. Neal tells the heartwarming story of inventing Lanofen to relieve his dying wife Zana's pain. He hires Liza, without even looking at the fake CV. The company is already doomed anyway. Pete gives her a 5-day probation to convince a head physician to prescribe their brand, otherwise she'll be fired. In order to motivate Liza to tear up the land, Pete talks about fabulous commissions. At home, to get an idea of what she will be selling, Liza watches a short history of the Lanofen. Her daughter Googles tips for beginners of the pharma representatives and gives advices to her mom, which includes revealing outfits and banal flirting with customers. The next morning, after picking up Pete, Liza and her daughter drive to the hospital in a pink car donated by her mother Jackie, to charm Dr. Liddell. However, even an offering in the form of a Charlotte does not help to attract attention. As soon as a rival appeared, resembling the high school love of the doctor, he swam. After the first failure, the woman goes to one clinic after another. But everywhere, doctors look at her as nothing, not wanting to break the status quo. While waiting for her next appointment, Phoebe has an epileptic attack caused by a small mass in her brain. According to the doctor, such masses dissolve themselves at puberty, but otherwise expensive surgery is needed. To give her daughter some peace and quiet, Liza takes her to her ex-husband's house. The trip is interrupted by Pete's phone call. He insists that Liza return to work, having gone through every doctor in the state for a second time. To complete the formalities, Liza returns to the hospital, where she sees Dr. Liddell. As she gets out of the car, she overhears him on the phone talking about divorce and alimony. But Liza doesn't want to talk about the benefits of Lanofen. She just wants to go pick up Charlotte's container. In the clinic, she overhears a patient complaining about the side effects of a competitor's prescribed medicine, and wonders why the doctor won't prescribe a different one. Her words convince the patient's wife, and force the doctor to tell them about Lanofen and offer it as an option. The patient decides to try a new painkiller. Overjoyed, Liza returns to Zana's office. She tells them that Dr. Liddell has not only written the first prescription, but also wants to attend the seminar. It means a medically funded pharmacological vacation in Hawaii, with a couple of formal presentations in exchange for a prescription. However, the superiors are against this event. When Pete writes Liza a paycheck, she convinces him to arrange a seminar by paying from their pockets, to invest in a brighter future, so to speak. Liza thinks that instead of Hawaii, a little fast food hangout will be enough for a lonely doctor. But when they rent the hall, none of the guests show up. Then Liza goes to the bar to find at least a couple of doctors willing to join to their hangout, and sign the list of participants, of course for free food. She manages to lure only 2 people, and the doctor, seeing the empty hall, wants to leave. But Liza convinces the doctor that the industry needs to learn about Lanofen. It really helped the patient. She asks him to be the first to change the rotten pharma market. A fragile ego cracks at the seams, and Dr. Little returns to the party. Gradually other guests are pulled up. At the end of the evening, Pete persuades the doctor to give a lecture on Lanofen for a generous reward. After a while, Pete shows up at Liza's motel. He has good news. Their medicine is in demand with Dr. Liddell's patients, which means Liza gets a huge commission. Overjoyed, she returns to her sister's house to please her mother with a gift, new Mercedes, as well as paying her sister back what she owed. Liza and Pete are about to be fired for acting on their own, but earning $200,000 in a couple of weeks convinces the director to reconsider. In addition, the founder of the company has already approved a program of seminars for the development of businesses. For such a case, they even expand their staff by recruiting more sympathetic girls from various fields of activity, from shop assistants to nurses, from desperate single moms to strippers. Among the candidates is the son of a doctor, willing to prescribe Lanofen in exchange for the offspring's employment, and of course Liza's mother. Having recruited enough sales representatives of different ages, Liza explains to them the intricacies of the work on concrete examples and individual approach. By seducing local doctors in various ways, including those on whom the major pharmaceutical companies do not pay attention, Zana gradually increases the turnover of his medicine. The main tactic, according to Liza, was to become for doctors not sellers but friends, sharing their passion and addiction. including expensive gifts, banned substances and fun parties. This approach increased Zana's market share from 0 to 86%. Company's success in general and Liza's in particular was not to the liking of his competitors who were losing money. However, there was nothing they could do. In an attempt to increase sales, competitors resorted to prohibited advertising, encouraging to prescribe drugs not just for cancer patients, but for everyone. The federals busted them for it, fining them and banning them from seeing doctors for 5 years. Success was converted into tangible things. Liza moved into a swanky new flat and got her daughter into a private school, paying double fees to get her in. But soon Liza's mother asks her to organize a seminar to recruit more doctors and get more commissions. She's no longer satisfied with the banal 30,000. Liza and Pete are planning to expand and hold workshops across the country. But the director reveals her biography to Dr. Neil. The founder realizes who's more useful here, and promotes Pete to director and puts Liza in charge of national development. The first thing Pete does is fire his previous director. The Zana company soon enters the stock market by launching its shares. Afterward, Pete and Liza get promoted again, and the company's profits increase. As a thank you, they help Dr. Lytle renovate the clinic, which gets into the cameras of interested observers. However, there was another side to the success. The move to the new spacious office revealed some of Dr. Neil's unpleasant personality traits. First of all, he ordered all workers to go barefoot or in socks to save on cleaning the floors. During the meeting, another unpleasantness surfaced. One of the co-workers who started with Pete recorded conversations on his phone to accumulate dirt just in case. Pete catches him and beats, also breaks his phone. The seminars take on an extravaganza. Swimming pools, unknown tracks made of quite famous powder, women's bikini fights. A rich life is like that, and nothing else. But Liza begins to torment doubts. She wanted to do something worthy and not to capitalize on the lowly vices and weaknesses of others. After Dr. Neil slept with Liza's mother at one of the parties, his weirdness intensified. When receiving his subordinates, he orders the guards to hand over their personal belongings and walk around the house in booths. Dissatisfied with stagnant market expansion, the founder demands that Liza and Pete recommend the painkiller Lenofin not just to cancer patients, but to everyone. In addition, Dr. Neil privately tells Liza to fire her mother after first getting her signature on a waiver. After cunning, Pete encourages sales representatives to go beyond the regulations. Liza tells her mother the most unpleasant news. The conversation ends in a family argument. The mother signs the paper when she leaves. Liza goes to Dr. Lytle to resolve the issue of prescribing outside the regulations. She hands him some food in a container, which again falls into the cameras of interested people. Lytle sets a condition: 25% of all out-of-regulation prescriptions, and he will prescribe the medicine more often. At dance rehearsal, Liza discusses business with one of the market segments, where the doctor switched to a competitor's medicine. At this point, Phoebe has an epileptic seizure. Doctor informs that it is better not to delay the operation. Cause formation does not dissolve and it grows. The girl gets worse and worse, but despite her success, Liza doesn't have enough money for surgery. The first cases of off-label Lenofin overdoses are reported at this time. Dr. Lytle continues to sell addictive painkillers to addicts before the red and blue lights go off outside. He is arrested, leaving a bunch of addicts hanging around the clinic. When the bosses decide to compensate for Dr. Lytle's loss by increasing dosages out of regulation, Liza realizes that the company is about to rot from its own greed. She decides to use the remaining time to sell her share of stock to Dr. Neil for her daughter's surgery, but he refuses. After learning that a former motel neighbor has died of a drug overdose, Liza goes to visit his family, along with a housewarming gift of a blanket. But the newly minted widow does not want to accept condolences, blaming Liza for her husband's death. After Liza goes to the prosecutor's office to snitch on her colleagues, but prosecutor needs ironclad proof of Dr. Neil's involvement in corruption and bribing doctors. Otherwise, his lawyers will easily make Liza guilty. To get evidence, Liza goes on a deception spree. She tells Pete she needs money to bribe the new doctors. He printed out all the claims and gave them to Neil for verification. Then he brought it to another sales meeting, where he reads a rap about the need to prescribe increased doses to patients for more profit. Liza, without a shadow of a doubt, steals the list with the boss's notes from his pocket. But Pete lies in wait for her in the parking lot and takes her purse with evidence. After an argument with a former stripper, whom he pulled out of the mud, Pete goes to the boss and confesses to develop a defense strategy. Dr. Neil promises to take care of him and his family if he takes the blame. When Pete was arrested, the prosecution found his former colleague in Argentine prison. But Neil's men have already bribed him. The founder of Zana got away with it. Phoebe undergoes surgery. After she is discharged, Liza reconciles with her mother. Then she recalls that her mother asked Neil for bribe money, and did so via email. The surviving correspondence proves the involvement of the boss of the criminal scheme. Zana's top brass and Lytle each got a few years in jail and fines. Before the sentencing, Liza reads that she too is guilty of creating a criminal scheme. Despite the prosecutor's request and sincere repentance, the judge sentences her 15 months. After serving her sentence, Liza returned to sales, but now in cosmetics. She also attracted former colleagues from Zana, but sometimes in sleepless nights, she remembers her journey to success that cost someone their life. The movie ends with news of the arrest and sentencing of the head of a bad faith pharmaceutical company.